My name's Helen, I'm 43, and I own Crown Bowling Alley. It's located in Pittsburgh's old industrial district with 36 lanes and a 52-year history. The lanes are made of Canadian maple wood, worn into faint grooves by bowling balls, just like the lines on a palm. My father-in-law built it, my husband inherited it, and now I run it. 23 years ago, I started as a cashier, and now I'm the owner. Every inch of air here carries my scent. Cleaner, floor polish, worn leather shoes, and hot dogs. My husband's Jim. He's not a bad man, just weak-willed. 3 years ago, he had a stroke, was left partially paralyzed, and moved into a rehab center. He left the bowling alley and all the books to me. I found out over the past 5 years he'd siphoned nearly $50,000 from the alley's accounts. What he spent it on? I have no clue. I never asked him. What's the point of asking a man who lies in bed drooling? His caretaker's Christie, 32, divorced with 2 kids. She treats my husband far better than I ever did, and she's way more patient. I was grateful to her. Later on, Jim could walk with a cane. Then he checked out of rehab and moved straight into Christie's apartment. He called me that night, his voice quiet and hollow.
Helen, we're just not right for each other. You can keep the alley.
Then he hung up. No apology, no explanation at all. Like an old bowling ball you haven't used in years, you roll it back into the return couch and never care where it ends up. I didn't shed a single tear. I turned off all the alley lights, went upstairs, and stood in the kitchen for a long time. A sticky note he'd written was still on the fridge. Helen, don't forget to buy milk. The milk had gone bad. I poured it down the drain. Then I spoke to the empty fridge. Pins don't fall on their own, but a person can always stand back up. I thought the worst was already behind me. That was until I got a court summons. Jim and Christie filed a petition claiming I'd mismanaged the alley and drained its assets, asking the court to take my operating rights away. Christie was now his legal power of attorney. The lawsuit listed more than a dozen accusations: messy books, outdated equipment, staff conflicts. Every charge was vague and ambiguous, yet enough to make anyone who doesn't know a thing about bowling question me. You've got 3 years of business records, bank statements, and staff witness settlements. You've got a strong chance of winning. And why do they dare sue me? Because Jim's a co-owner. He holds half the equity. All he wants is to push you out. Half ownership? When I married him, my father-in-law said the alley belonged to both of us. I gave my youth to this place, turned its losses into profits, and now he's using that half share to drive me out. It's not that he hates me. It's that Christie wants the apartment upstairs above the lanes. She loves the floor-to-ceiling windows that overlook the whole downtown skyline. I sat by the lane and ran my hand over a 10-pound bowling ball. It felt cold in my palm, its 3 finger holes like 3 watching eyes. You watch me and I watch you. You've knocked down pins, and I've knocked down hard times. Neither of us has lost yet. The court issued a temporary ruling. While the case was ongoing, the alley would go into third-party trusteeship. Neither Christie nor I could run it alone. The trustee was a retired accountant. He knew nothing about bowling, but he sure knew how to lock doors. On day 1, he changed the register system password. On day 2, he replaced all the locks. On day 3, he put up a notice: no authorized personnel allowed in the back of house area. I was locked out of the place I'd worked at for 23 years. Not because I wasn't capable, but because the judge said I needed time to calm down. Calm down was the last thing I did. I stood outside the front door, staring through the glass at lane 1. That's where I bowled my very first game. That's where my father-in-law taught me my approach step. Now it sat empty. I pulled out my phone and sent a message to all the alley members. The alley is closed, temporarily reopened, but I'll be back. My bowling game isn't over, and I'm not walking away early. I moved into my son's apartment. His name is Nathan, 22, fresh out of college, working night shift as a dispatcher at a logistics company. He sleeps through the day and works all night. We were like strangers living in 2 different time zones, taking turns using the couch in that tiny 1-bedroom apartment. Nathan bought me a new quilt, light blue with small floral prints, thin and soft.
Mom, just stay here as long as you need. No rush.
He didn't understand why I wasn't in a hurry to fix things. It was never about having a place to stay. It was about who I was. I'd lived and breathed the alley for 23 years. Every floorboard there knew my shoe size. Now my feet felt out of place on my son's floor, like wearing shoes that didn't fit. In the days that followed, I wrote every single day. Not a personal diary, a record of appeal. I jotted down every mistake the trustee made: register malfunctions, neglected lane maintenance, improperly set up pins. My lawyer said these could all be used as evidence. I told her it wasn't about evidence, it was about keeping myself sane. My hands shook as I wrote, not from the cold, but from raw anger. Nathan saw me writing and asked what I was doing. I said fixing the pin setup. He didn't get it. When the pins are out of line, your ball path goes off course. Life's no different. Late one night, I walked around to the back of the bowling alley. The parking lot was completely empty, streetlights stretching the fence shadows long across the ground. I pulled out my old key. The trustee had changed the main locks, but he'd overlooked the small back door lock. The door was too old for him to bother with. I slipped the key in, twisted it, and heard a soft click. The door opened. I stepped inside. The alley was pitch dark. only faint green emergency lights glowing softly. 36 lanes lay quiet and still, like giants fast asleep. I walked to lane 1, where the pins were still set up from my last game, a clear lane left after a perfect strike. I grabbed a bowling ball from the ball's return, 10 pounds red, with a faint crack running across it. I set it down on the approach, then picked it up again. I didn't want a bowlie. I just wanted to hold it. That smooth, cold, weighted ball was my only anchor for 23 years. If life had a weight, this ball would be my counterbalance. I set the ball down and walked to the pin deck. I picked up each pin one by one and set them back perfectly in place. I didn't arrange them into any fancy pattern. I just fixed what the daytime guests had messed up. 1, 2, 10, 10, 10. The whole lane was perfectly lined up again. I stood at the end of the lane staring at those white pins waiting to be knocked down. They didn't know if they'd fall tomorrow, but they stood firm. And so would I. Someone posted a photo in the member group chat. It wasn't just pins. It was morning sunlight falling over the neatly arranged pins, casting beautiful light and shadow. The caption read, "Pins are perfectly lined up today. Looks like someone stopped by in the middle of the night." I didn't reply, but my heart was racing. The next day, someone took another picture of the pins. They said they're perfectly straight again. On the third day, old Tom, a 70-year-old longtime member, sent a voice message.
"Helen, was that you? Did you sneak in late at night?"
I stayed quiet, but the group chat blew up. Some said, "Helen's guarding this alley." Others said, "She's the real owner here." More added, "We've got her back." Please stop spreading unconfirmed rumors. The alley is now run by professional management. I scrolled through the group chat messages without saying a word, a faint smile tugging at the corners of my mouth. It wasn't because I was Clohosens. It was because people were standing up for me. Pings can't speak, but the Miriam sure can. Nathan figured out I was going out in the middle of the night. He blocked the doorway, still half asleep.
Mom, where have you been?
Just taking a walk.
Taking a walk at 3 in the morning?
Pittsburgh's safe at night.
You went to the bowling alley, didn't you? Mom, that's trespassing. If you get caught, you'll lose the lawsuit.
I'm not trespassing. I just went to check on the place.
Check on what?
To make sure the pins are standing straight. If even the pins are out of line, this place doesn't deserve the name Crown Bowling Alley.
Mom, I know you can't let it go. But you can't ruin yourself just because you're holding on too tight.
I looked at him. His eyes reminded me of Jim when he was young, but there was something more in Nathan. Maybe gentleness, maybe kindness. I couldn't tell. But in that moment, I realized I'd never really looked into my son's eyes before. I hugged him, and he didn't pull away. We stood in the hallway at 3 a.m., holding each other for a long while. Nathan, remember this. When pins fall, you set them back up. When people fall, they can stand up too. The next morning, Nathan took half a day off work and went with me to the law firm. My lawyer was Vera, in her 50s, short hair, sharp and straight to the doubt. After about my late-night pin setting, she didn't scold me. "Helen, do you know why you might lose this case? Because Jim owns half the alley? Because you're fighting this case with emotion." Vera slid the papers towards me. Emotion doesn't win lawsuits, evidence does. She told me to document every late-night visit, take photos of the perfectly set pins, and use them as proof of the trustee's poor management. Because the only reason pins would be messy is careless management. And the fact that I had to fix it myself proved the trustee was failing at their job. It clicked for me. I wasn't just sneaking in to set pins, I was gathering evidence. The pins themselves were my witnesses. From that day on, I went every night, took photos, and kept detailed records. Pictures of the neat pin lines were shared all around the member group. Christie grew more and more frustrated. She started deleting posts and blocking members. But the more she censored, the angrier the members got. Someone wrote, "You can delete the photos, but you can't erase the truth, those straight standing pins." On the court hearing day, I wore a blazer Nathan lent me. It was a little big, sleeves too long, but the blue tie matched the upholstering in the bowling alley. Christie sat at the plaintiff's table, wearing a dark green silk blouse with bright red nail polish. Jim didn't show up. His lawyer claimed he was in poor health, but I knew the truth. He just didn't have the courage to face me. Vera filed a motion, asking the court to end the third-party trusteeship immediately. The evidence was my photos. Different days, different angles, same alley, messy pins that showed zero professionalism.
These photos could have been staged after Helen trespassed into the building.
Your Honor, I admit I went inside. But if I hadn't, no one would ever know how poorly the pins were being set. How can a trustee who can't even set pins straight be qualified to run a bowling alley? I pulled the 10-pound red cracked bowling ball out of my bag and placed it on the court table. The whole room fell dead silent. This is my evidence. This ball has been with me for 23 years. It's knocked down thousands of pins, and it's knocked down my fears. Today, I'm using it to knock down lies.
Court adjourned to resume tomorrow.
The next day, Christie offered a settlement. She agreed to step away from management, let Jim and I co-own the alley, and have Jim transfer his shares to Nathan. The deal was that I would drop all claims over Jim's affair and embezzlement. Vera told me to think it over. I simply said, no.
I think we should settle.
Why not? You've already won the upper hand. No, it's not me who's winning. It's the pins. They stood straight. I can't let their stance be for nothing. I chose to keep fighting the lawsuit. It wasn't greed. I needed a clear public ruling that the alley belonged to me. Not Jim's, not Christie's, not anyone else's. It belongs to bowling itself. Because bowling balls never lie.
Jim's equity would be compensated to Helen in cash, paid in installments due to his poor health.
Christie was legally barred from entering the alley premises. Jim's lawyer announced an appeal right there in court, but I knew he'd never follow through. He didn't have the money for it. The sun was bright as I walked out of the courthouse. Nathan was waiting for me outside, holding a bouquet of golden sunflowers.
Mom, want to celebrate?
First, let's head to the alley. We drove over, and a crowd was already gathered out front. Tom, left-handed Jim, Nurse Lisa, and more. They showed up on their own, each carrying a bowling ball. I unlocked the door and stepped inside. The lights flipped on, lane by lane, all 36 glowing bright, like welcoming home an old long-lost friend. I walked to lane 1 and picked up a ball.
Mom, want to play a game?
Helen, you won.
It's not winning. It's putting everything back where it belongs. I won the lawsuit, but I couldn't sleep at night. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw Christie's face sitting at the plaintiff's bench. It wasn't hatred for her. It was regret towards myself. Regret I didn't see Jim and her affair sooner. Regret I poured 23 years into the alley instead of my marriage.
Mom, you should forgive yourself.
It's easy to forgive others. Forgiving yourself is the hard part. Late one night, I went back to the alley again. I wasn't there to set pins. I just sat down right on the lane. I leaned back against the ball return, stretched my legs out, and let my feet rest on the cool wooden floor. I buried my face in my knees and cried. Not loud sobbing, quiet, heavy tears, falling one after another, just like toppling pins. Nathan showed up without me noticing. He sat down beside me, didn't say a word, just slid a box of tissues over. Thank you. Nathan, do you hate your dad?
I don't hate him. He's still my father, but he's not a good man.
Then do you hate me?
Hate you for what?
Hate me for not leaving him sooner.
Mom, you stayed for the alley, not Dad.
He had a little stubble on his chin, and his eyes were bright and clear. Nathan, when did you grow up to be so wise?
The night you started sneaking in at 3 a.m. to set the pins straight.
We sat side by side on the lane, the overhead humming softly. Nathan, you know what? The grooves on these trains are carved by bowling balls. The callons on my hands are worn by life. They're one and the same. The alley got back to normal operations, but we were deep in the red. There was barely any income during the lawsuit. The members wanted to donate money, but I turned them down. I said this alley doesn't survive on handouts. I started looking for new ways to bring in revenue. Bowling leagues, corporate team building parties. I took every booking I could get. Tom connected me with a disabled bowling association, asking if I'd welcome wheelchair bowlers. I said, we can modify the lanes and install handrails. No problem.
Helen, you're more than just the owner. You're the heart of this place.
The word heart stopped me in my tracks. I hadn't been the best mother to Nathan, but maybe I could be the heart of this bowling alley. That's what bowling taught me. You don't have to be perfect. You just have to show up. After Christie left town, I received a letter from her. It was written on pink stationery, scented with perfume. Helen, I lost, and I admit it. But I didn't lose to you. I lost to the members. They love you because you truly care about this alley. I never had any attachment to this place. I only came here because Jim promised me the upstairs apartment. Now I have nothing left. I don't hate you. I just don't know where to go from here. I read the letter, folded up, and never wrote back. But I still remembered when she first showed up here, in her nurse's uniform, pushing Jim in his wheelchair. She was a little experienced, but careful and gentle. Back then I was even grateful to her for taking care of my husband. Now she'd become my adversary. No one is born an enemy. Circumstances turn people into one. I wrote a line on the back of the letter, but never sent it. Christie, you can change the keys to the alley, but the doors will never close on you. You're always welcome to come bowl anytime. One Friday night, an unexpected guest walked into the alley. It was Jim.
I just want to talk to you.
He stood at the door with his cane, wearing a jacket that didn't fit him right. Nathan was at the register and spotted him first.
Dad?
Nathan glanced at me, and I gave a slight nod. Jim sat down in the lounge chair, his hands trembling, not from his stroke, from nervousness.
Helen, I'm not here to take back the alley. I just wanted to see how you're doing.
See what exactly?
See if you're doing all right.
We're doing just fine.
I know. I've wronged both of you.
Nathan stood there quietly, saying nothing. I looked at him, the man I once raised a child with right here by these lanes, now just a frail man hunched in a chair. Jim, I don't hate you anymore, but I can never take you back. You can come bowl anytime, members rate.
I don't even know how to bowl anymore.
Then I'll teach you. You taught me once. You told me, Helen, keep your eyes on the pins, not the ball. I still remember that. Did you forget? It's not just bowling you lost yourself too.
Helen, you're better than me. You always have been.
He pushed himself up with his cane and walked away. Nathan started to follow him outside, but I stayed put. I watched his figure disappear into the parking lot.
Mom, you really don't hate him anymore?
Hating someone takes too much energy. I save all my strength for this alley. The pins don't hold grudges, and neither do I. The alley slowly climbed out of the red. But I noticed something. Very few single moms came to bowl. It wasn't lack of interest. It was no one to watch their kids. I joined a few single mom support group meetings, and that line was all I ever heard. I can't leave my kids alone. A game of bowling takes a couple hours, and 2 hours is a luxury for any single mother. So I decided to do something about it. I set up a kids' play area inside the alley, with soft mats, toys, and picture books. While the moms bowled, their kids could play nearby. I hired a retired preschool teacher for $15 an hour, covered entirely by the alley. I hand-painted the sign myself. Little Bowler's Playground, Mom's Pins, Kids Blocks. Monica was the first to show up, with her 4-year-old daughter. She hesitated at the entrance of the play area.
Helen, is this really okay?
It's totally fine. You bowl, the kid plays. Come pick her up in an hour and a half.
How much does it cost?
Just pay for your bowling lane. The play area is free. She played 3 games, all under 120 points. But when she walked out, her face was glowing.
Helen, thank you. I haven't bowled in 2 years.
Then come every week from now on. The pins are waiting for you. After a few months of single mom bowling night, more and more women started coming. They didn't just bowl. They chatted, drank coffee, swapped parenting tips. Lanes 5 through 8 were reserved just for them every Thursday night. One of the moms was Jane, divorced, with 2 little boys.
I always thought bowling was only for wealthy people.
Bowling's the only sport you can play in an old t-shirt and still fit right in. She laughed. Soon she became a regular, bringing her sisters and neighbors along. I realized the alley was never just a place to bowl. It was a place where women could speak their minds freely. It was loud enough to drown out their quiet tears. I stood there watching them, remembering how broken I felt when I was pushed out, hiding alone in the storage room. Back then, I didn't know how to pick myself up. Now I do. All you need is a lane, a ball, and a group of people who won't let you fall. Jim's health took a turn for the worse. He was moved into a hospice care facility. Nathan went to visit him and came back heartbroken.
Mom, all he keeps saying is he's sorry.
Sorry to who?
To you, to me, and to the bowling alley.
He ought to be.
But he's apologized already. Mom, do you want to go see him?
I hesitated. It wasn't that I didn't want to go. I just didn't know what to say to his face. Those 23 years felt like an endless bowling game. Pins falling, getting reset, falling again. I wasn't sure if I had one last chance to make the final spare. I picked up a bowling ball and held it in my hands. It was cold. Nathan, tell him this. I've already set all the pins back up. His frame is empty, but someone else has ball for him. In the end, I went anyway. It was a rainy afternoon. I stood in the hospice hallway holding a bouquet of flowers. They were red roses picked right outside the alley. Nothing fancy, cost me nothing. A nurse asked who I was here for. I told her Jim. She led me to a tiny room. Jim lay in bed, hooked up to medical tubes. He'd wasted away, his eye sockets sour, but a faint light flickered in his eyes when he saw me.
Helen.
Jim.
I set the flowers on his nightstand. There were already flowers from Christie there, all dried out and wilted.
Is the alley doing okay?
It's fine.
That's all that matters. Helen, I can never pay you back for what I owe you.
You don't have to. All you had to do was leave me the alley.
It's always been yours.
I stared at him, the man I'd shared half my life with. He wasn't an evil man. He was just someone who made terrible choices. Jim, I don't hate you anymore. Go in peace. I'll keep setting the pin straight. A tear rolled down his cheek. I didn't wipe it away. I wasn't his wife anymore, but I would always be the owner of Crown Bowling Alley. Jim passed away 3 days later. Nathan took care of all the funeral arrangements. Christie never showed up. Some said she moved to another city. Others said she went back to her hometown. I didn't know, and I didn't care to find out. The funeral was small and quiet, just Nathan and a few regulars from the alley. I didn't attend. It wasn't unforgiveness. I just wanted to remember him the way he was when we were young, standing behind me, guiding my hand, showing me the approach, the backswing, the release. That was the real Jim, not the weak, broken man consumed by sickness and betrayal. I stayed at the bowling alley all day long. I didn't bowl a single game. I just sat by the lanes. I stared at the empty lanes and thought of the first afternoon he brought me here. The alley was brand new back then, the smell of floor polish thick in the air. He took my hand and walked me to lane 1.
This is our future.
Life took our future down so many different paths, but the bowling alley stayed exactly the same. Jim, I'm letting go of everything you owe me. Keeping this alley is more than enough for me. Nathan officially took over the alley's finances. He's good with numbers, but he doesn't understand bowling. I taught him, and he picked it up fast.
Mom, have you ever thought about turning this into a chain, opening more locations?
Never. One is enough.
Why not?
Chain locations have no soul. There's only one Crown Alley, just like there's only one me as your mom. Nathan, bowling isn't just business. You throw the ball down the lane and it always comes back, no matter how far it rolls. That's why I love it. The huge popularity of single mom bowling night caught the attention of local TV
Why are we doing this project?
because people needed it.
You're a single mom yourself, aren't you?
Yes, I'm single, I'm a mom, but first and foremost, I'm a bowler.
What do bowlers and single moms have in common?
We've all learned to find our own rhythm in the sound of falling pins. That line made it into the news segment. That night, dozens of strangers called to ask if they could join in. The alley's business boomed beyond what I'd ever imagined.
Helen, you didn't just run a good business, you did right by people.
It's not me. It's bowling. It never judges you for how poorly you play. One day the mailman delivered an unsigned letter postmarked from another state. I opened it and I recognized Christie's handwriting right away. Helen, you'd never believe it, but I went to a bowling alley in a new city. I didn't have the courage to play, but I sat there and watched everyone else. An older lady bowled a strike and high-fived her friends. It made me think of you. You never high-five anyone. You just smile. You're stronger than me. Not because you own the alley, but because you carry a lane inside your heart. I folded the letter and put it away. I didn't reply, but I smiled to myself. I turned 60. The alley had been running for 33 years. Nathan got married and had a baby girl. I became a grandmother. My granddaughter's name is Amy. She came to the alley for the first time at 3 years old, holding a tiny 2-pound kid's ball. She rolled it, and it didn't even make it halfway down the lane. She ran after it, picked it up, and rolled it again. Everyone laughed. Watching her little back, I thought about when I first learned to bowl right here. Time is like a ball return. It sends the ball back to you, but it can never send back the person who once held it. But the spirit of that person stays with the game. It just passes to new hands. Nathan wanted to renovate the whole alley. New lanes, new ball returns, a brand new sign.
Mom, this place is too old. Young people won't come anymore.
They stay away not because it's old, but because they don't know how much heart old places hold. Tom's perfect strikes, Lisa's tricky spurbs, and my own sleepless nights. The alley stayed open during renovations, with only certain areas blocked off. None of the members complained. Tom even volunteered to help move chairs.
This is our alley. We fix it together.
I stood under the scaffolding watching the workers paint the walls red, the same shade Jim picked all those years ago. Paint fades with time, but wooden tails don't. Wood holds memories far longer than paint ever could. Nathan was the one who told me about Christie's passing, breast cancer. She'd moved back to her hometown and worked as a nurse at the local hospital right up until the end.
Christie wanted me to tell you both she's sorry before she passed.
It's all right.
Her dad called the alley and said, I didn't say a word.
Mom, are you sad?
I'm not sad. She could have had such a good life.
She made the wrong choices.
Yeah. But who hasn't made wrong choices? I'm just luckier than her. I've got people who help me set the pins back up. We sat in silence for a long time. Outside the wind, someone was bowling on the lanes. The sound of pins crashing came through, sharp and clear, like a distant echo. It was the alley's 55th anniversary, and I invited all the members over for cake. It was shaped like a bowling ball, chocolate flavor. Nathan took a photo of me standing in front of lane 1 holding a bowling ball. We posted it on the alley's social media with a caption, "Still your boss. The pins have come and gone, but I'm still here." A stranger commented. I replied to her, "What bowling taught me, you can knock the pins down, set them back up, knock them down again, but never stop setting them. 'Cause the second you quit setting, you're not a bowler anymore." I retired. Not really retired, just stepped back from the daily management. Nathan took over full operation of the alley. I come by twice a week, from 2 to 5 in the afternoon, drink coffee in the lounge, chat with the members. I bowl a game every now and then, but my hands aren't what they used to be. My ball's slower, and I can't get the curve right anymore.
Aunt Hella, you're still got it.
I know they're not talking about skill, they're talking about heart. Heart doesn't need a strike. It just needs to show up. I sat in the chair next to lane 5, soaking up the sun. Outside the window in the parking lot, there was an old Honda, 10 years old and still running. I squinted my eyes and counted the pins on the lane. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. All white, all the same, but each one had its own spot, just like people. Tom passed away. He bowled here until he was 80. In his last few years, he couldn't even see the pins anymore, but he still came every week. He'd sit in the lounge and listen to the sound of the bowling balls.
Helen, I'm deaf, but I can still hear the bowling. It's in my bones.
After his death, his son came to the alley and brought a bag of bowling balls, old ones, 12 pounds, with Tom carved on them. I put them on the shelf next to lane 1. That was Tom's spot. The members put together a memorial from here at the alley, all on their own. They bowled a Tom memorial game. After each person bowled, they left their ball behind. The shelf was lined with balls, 10 pounds, 12 pounds, 14 pounds, all colors of the rainbow. I stood there and touched every single one. Tom was gone, but his balls were still here. And his balls would keep rolling. The Crown Bowling Alley was added to the city's historic buildings list. Not because it's old, but because it represents an era. The industrial district faded, the factories closed down, but the bowling alley stayed open. Because it's not a factory, it's a place people come to at night. When the city officials came to hang the plaque, they asked me to speak. I stood at the door, holding a microphone. This alley isn't just mine. It belongs to everyone who's bowled here, fallen down and gotten back up. The dents in the lanes? They're from your sweat hitting the wood. The paint on the sign? It's brushed with your laughter. I wrote a memoir, not an autobiography, just the story of the alley. Each chapter is a lane. Chapter 1, Lane 1, Tom. Chapter 2, Lane 2, Lefty Jim. Chapter 3, Lane 3, Lisa. All the way to Chapter 36, Lane 36, me. It didn't sell much after it came out, but everyone who bought it said they cried while reading it. I think it's not because I wrote it well, it's because bowling is just like life. You aim for the strike, but you don't always get it. You don't aim, and you might get lucky. But if you don't throw the ball, you'll never know either way. Nathan's daughter Amy is 7. She started learning to bowl. I'm teaching her. Standing at lane 1, just like Jim taught me 40 years ago.
Left, right.
She's learning so hard. Her little hands gripping the 6-pound ball, wobbly on her feet. I put my hand on her shoulder. Keep your eyes on the pins.
Grandma, the pins didn't fall.
It's okay. Try again. Doesn't matter if the pins fall. What matters is you threw the ball. She tries again, knocks down one pin. She cheers. I laugh too.
Mom, you look just like Dad did when he taught you.
Your dad was more patient than me when he taught me. But he forgot. Patience expires. I don't.
I got a letter from Christie's daughter. Her name's Amelia, and she's in college now. She wrote in the letter, Aunt Helen, before my mom died, she said you were the strongest woman she ever knew. She asked me to thank you for not pressing charges against her.
She said she owed you, and she could never pay it back. I want to pay it back for her. I don't know anything about bowling, but I can volunteer at the alley. I read the letter 3 times, then I picked up the phone and dialed the number in the letter.
Hello?
A young woman's voice answered. Amelia?
It's me.
It's Helen. Your mom didn't owe me anything, and you don't have to pay anything back. But if you want to come to the alley, you're welcome. I'll teach you to bowl. 'Cause bowling taught me some debts aren't paid with money. They're paid with a game. Amelia came. She looks just like her mom did when she was young, but her eyes are softer. I'm teaching her to bowl, and she's learning slow. Not 'cause she's dumb, 'cause she's nervous. She's scared of failing. Amelia, did your mom ever tell you about what happened between her and me?
Yeah, she said she was wrong.
She was wrong, but you were born because of it. So there's no such thing as absolute wrong. Every pin falls a little different, but a fall's a fall. What matters is you're willing to set it back up.
Aunt Carolyn, don't you hate her?
No, hating someone's too tiring. I choose to remember the sound of the pins falling, not why they fell. 'Cause that sound can turn into a rhythm, and rhythm can turn into a dance. Today's the Crown Bowling Towel's 58th anniversary. I'm standing at lane 1, holding a 10-pound ball. Silver hair, wrinkles, my knuckles a little gornled, but my eyes are still bright. Nathan's standing nearby, Amy's in the audience, Amelia's helping at the register. I take my approach, release the ball. It rolls across the maple wood, gliding over the dent that's been there since the 60s. It hits the pins. A strike. Applause crashes like a wave. I turn around and bow to everyone. The lights are warm. On the lane, the pins stand straight and neat. I pick up a second ball. No approach, just push it gently. It rolls slow, and knocks down 3 pins. That's enough. 3 pins down is still down. My life wasn't a strike life. It was a life of throwing again after a gutter ball. My name's Helen. I'm 63 years old. The Crown Bowling Alley's still here, and so am I. The pins have fallen for 58 years, and I've set 'em back up for 58 years. Not 'cause I'm stubborn, but 'cause I know. As long as someone's willing to set 'em, the alley won't fall. And as long as the alley doesn't fall, everyone who's laughed and cried here will always have a place to come back to. The lights are on, the lanes are waiting. The excitement of the 58th anniversary faded away, and Crown Bowling Alley returned to its ordinary daily rhythm. I still come here 2 or 3 times a week. I no longer tend to daily management work, and just sit in my usual spot in the lounge, watching guests come and go and bowling balls roll down the lanes. Amelia has fully settled into her volunteer work. She handles checkout, organizes bowling equipment, and guides new guests in perfect order. Her former shyness is long gone, replaced by calmness and cheerfulness. One afternoon, A group of teenage high school students burst into the alley and rushed to claim lanes noisily. They tossed bowling balls recklessly and knocked over neatly arranged pens for fun, paying no attention to the alley rules at all. Nathan stepped forward to reason with them patiently, but the teenagers rushed him off and kept misbehaving. Stood up slowly, walked over to my 10-pound red bowling ball with a crack that has stayed with me for half my held life. I did not shout at them. I simply walked to the approach of lane 1, took steady steps, swung my arm and released the ball. The ball glided smoothly along the maple lane and hit all the pins dead on, landing a clean strike. The sharp of crash volley's companion to treat with care, not a toy to fool around with. These lanes hold memories of generations. Only with respect can you truly enjoy this sport. Teenagers looked embarrassed, stopped messing or one another, picked their equipment quiet and started to bowling earnestly. I walked back to my seat and picked up my warm coffee. The sound of pins falling and resetting rang out in peaceful and steady. It is just like full of storms, yet finally settling into calm. Cold and swept leaves crossed of the old industrial district, yet warmth always lingered inside Crown Bowling Alley. Weekly single mom bowling, the liveliest time here. Lanes 5 to 8 work well in advance, filled with familiar laughter. Chad and Jane were regulars here. They were no longer just bowling partners, but close friends who relied on each other.